The Miami Dolphins got rid of several expensive veterans on Monday. Could they be trying to reunite with Mike McDaniel in Los Angeles?
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day as part of the #1 sports podcast network. David, what do we got today?
Well, Daniel, we all know that they like to call it the Baltimore West with the pipeline with the Ravens to the Chargers. Is there going to be a new pipeline with the Miami Dolphins, which there has been several players that have been cut? Could any of them end up with the Chargers? So we'll talk about that. And high risk versus high reward. Who are you going to go with? Is it going to be the top of the market, Tyler Linderbaum, or is it going to be Connor McGovern?
Yeah, and I think after, going through it a little bit, I think that Connor McGovern is a pretty solid backup plan if the Chargers don't want to spend Tyler Linderbaum money, even though obviously he is the prize of free agency for any team needing an interior offensive lineman and specifically a center. But David, we saw on Monday an exodus of expensive Miami Dolphins from the team trimming their cap down because they were in a really bad salary cap situation. And they released 4 mostly big, names for them. Tyreek Hill is going to be the biggest one. Bradley Chubb, very experienced edge rusher. James Daniels, an interior offensive lineman. I know that's going to send out some alarm bells for Chargers fans. And Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who obviously didn't do much with the Dolphins, but did have his head coach go to Los Angeles, so there is a connection there. And I do think that it's safe to say that it is more likely now that the Chargers could be trying to target Dolphins players. Now, is it going to be a bunch of them? Did all of them fit? Not necessarily, but yeah, I would say it's very fair to say keep an eye on these guys because the Chargers could be calling.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, we see these connections all the time. That's why I started the show off with the Baltimore to the Chargers pipeline, because we've seen it manifest in multiple different ways across both offense and defense. Seen several players come from the Baltimore Ravens to the Los Angeles Chargers, and so it is absolutely not out of the realm of possibility to think that there's going to be 1 or 2 or more Miami Dolphins that get cut that find their way to Los Angeles to play under Mike McDaniel. It's just how it works. Relationships are a huge part of how the NFL works.
It always will be, whether it's coaches, whether it's players. Guys go to where the familiarity is. Guys go to the schemes they know they fit into. And I think you obviously saw that with Jim Harbaugh and Ravens guys. For some reason, like the 2022 Titans team has a ton of players on the Chargers now for some reason. But yeah, it is more likely. And I think the funny thing about it is, honestly, we'll talk about Tyreek Hill, and I know everyone, wants to know about Tyreek Hill always. It might be a defensive guy that's the best option of that group, because I do see someone like Bradley Chubb, and it might not be the position the Chargers have found these kind of buy low candidates on, but it could be one of those things where it's like, hey, maybe Bradley Chubb is kind of not a consolation, but a contingency to if you don't get both of your edge rushers, Khalil Mack and Odafe Oweh, who are both unrestricted free agents. Maybe Bradley Chubb's a guy that you go target to maybe lessen some of the blow there.
Yeah, and the thing is right now is Bradley Chubb got cut. So if the Chargers wanted him, they can go sign him right now. Like, they don't have to wait. Like, they can get that deal done. Obviously, they can get the deal done with both Odafe Oweh and Khalil Mack as well. So, I mean, those are different situations, both for very different reasons. Obviously, we'll have to see if Khalil still wants to continue to play football, and we'll see what the asking price is going to be for Odafe Oweh, who is in the prime of his NFL career and just came off of a huge playoff performance that obviously is going to boost some of that money he's about to make. But when we're talking about Bradley Chubb, 29 years old, He's had some success in the past couple of seasons, but also has dealt with some injuries the last couple of seasons as well. I think in the last couple of years, his best year was 2023, where he had 11 sacks. He missed the entirety of the 2024 season, came back in 2025 with 8.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. So I guess it depends on how you're looking at Bradley Chubb and where you expect him to slot in. If you're expecting him to be one of your number one edge rushers, I don't know if that's the right way to be looking at him at this point in his career with the amount of injuries that he's had to deal with and where he's at. But if he's going to be your third edge rusher, fourth edge rusher, then absolutely, I'm all for that.
And I think especially because you saw how impressive the 3-man pass rush group was for the Chargers. And this feels like, yes, ideally, he's your third best guy. And if he's your third best guy, you're doing really good. And I think when you look at the production that he had last season, right, where he wasn't nearly as efficient as that 2023 season, but that's why you would get a better deal. And if you're having to sign Bradley Chubb, it's because you've already said you didn't want to pay both Khalil Mack and Odafe Owe what they're going to be commanding on the open market. So to get somebody like this as a contingency, as a consolation, as a backup plan potentially to make sure that you don't miss out on both of your edge rushers potentially, or you don't have 3 guys you can rely on next year, that doesn't seem crazy to me at all. I mean, especially because, in 2023, he was still playing at a game-breaking level, and the one thing that has made this defense consistently good in the Jim Harbaugh era has been the Chargers defensively finding some guys who need a bounce back and need a rebound, and getting way more out of them and having their defense be really good because of it. But, David, we've done this show before, but people want to know always. It is Buy or Sell Tuesday. We are getting into the biggest Chargers storylines and overreactions, so we have to go with this one here from Hidden Edges, who says, Buy or sell, the Chargers acquired Tyreek Hill. To me, still going to be a sell, still not interested.
It is and forever always will be a sell for me. I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in Tyreek Hill joining the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, Tyreek Hill had a massive injury. I mean, we're talking about something that could potentially end his career. And I think we just saw some posts out there that I think he still might need to have surgery on his LCL in addition to the other surgeries that he already had to fix the damage that was caused with his dislocated knee earlier on last season. So just that right then and there is enough for me to say, no, I don't want anything to do with it, just because who knows what version of Tyreek Hill you're even going to get when he makes it back, or if he makes it back. And all of the other off the field reasons are always going to be a automatic no for me. I'm just not interested, and I don't think the Chargers will be either.
Yeah, I don't think so. I do think that for the most part, first of all, we've gotten into it. We don't have to relitigate it every time we talk about Tyreek Hill, but the stuff he's done off the field, if you're someone that struggles with your morality when rooting for NFL players or something like that, he would be the ultimate test case where it's like, if the Chargers have him, obviously, it's not like I'm going to hope that he trips every time he's going into the end zone. I would just rather not have to put my moral compass in that kind of struggle. Yeah. You have to root for a guy who has been convicted of terrible things, child abuse, domestic abuse, and things of that nature. That's just never going to be cool with me. And to each their own. If you want to do that and sell kind of the morality to go win a Super Bowl, I understand it. It should be like that to a certain extent. You should be caring mostly about going to win a championship. I'd rather not have to root for the dude. And the better part of this all is he's going to be a 32-year-old coming off major surgery that might not even play to begin the season. So it's not as cut and dry as just oh, he's a bad dude, don't sign him. I think there are legitimate football concerns as to why they absolutely should not sign this guy. And as you could probably very well make an argument for the fact that he will never be the player that he was again.
Yeah.
He probably would have been slowing down a little bit at this point anyways, and now has a ridiculously hard rehab to try to go through while going into his age 32 season. So he hasn't had 1,000 yards in 2 seasons going into this. Do you want to be the team where he comes to you and then he's still trying to figure it out or get trust back in his knee again, or he's kind of working himself back into shape for half a season? I don't think you do. So as much as we can see the highlights of Tyreek Hill catching bombs from Tua and wonder what he could have looked like with Justin Herbert, that's a conversation for 3 years ago. If you really wanted to get him in his prime and wanted to kind of throw morality aside, you could have done that. But I don't think that's the case, because in this case, I think you'd be kind of throwing it away to take on a huge, ridiculously risky proposition of bringing in someone like Tyreek Hill. But I think Chargers fans are looking in the wrong place, honestly, as far as these former Dolphins go, because I think there is one offensive lineman that could make sense for the Chargers, but there's a huge catch that we have to talk about. So we're getting into that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
David, well, it's time to get into the rest of our Buy or Sell Tuesday, and thank you to the everydayers out there for contributing on today's show. And again, we have so many that we're going to have to probably repurpose some for some future shows because you guys just had a lot of good ones, or maybe you'll see involved in some brand new content, extra content that is starting today. So I'll get you more into that later, but let's get into these buy or sells here, David, and reward the everydayers for their hard work, and start with this one here from Matthew Sipes, who says, buy or sell, the Chargers will sign former Dolphin James Daniels at guard. So when you're looking at connections, obviously offense to offense makes the most sense because McDaniel obviously is an offensive-minded head coach when he was there. Offensive line feels like really a guy that you'd be like, okay, well, he knows the scheme. The catch is the guy only played 3 snaps for Mike McDaniel last year before getting hurt and basically getting cut 1 year into a 3-year contract. But the last time he was playing some of the best football of his career. This one is an interesting topic.
Yeah, it really, really is. And yeah, I totally understand. I mean, you look at the last few years of stats and you're like, well, that's not very interesting, but you have to look just a little bit further past that. Obviously, he played, just 3 snaps with, in 2025, where before he, had a serious pectoral injury that ended his 2025 season. And he did tear his Achilles in week 4 of 2024 and lost all of that season as well. So yeah, a couple of really bad injury-riddled seasons. But if you look at what this guy has done, he's only given up 6 sacks his entire career, and 3 of those came in the same season. So as a pass protector, he has been very, very, very good. And also, I think people need to look at this the right way. You're not signing him and bringing him in to be a starter or have the expectation that he's going to be one of your starters. I think you bring him in as a quality depth piece, because if you look at the Chargers offensive line and you look at the amount of guys that are unrestricted free agents, I think you're going to be a little upset about that. There's not a lot of guys in that room. They need to replenish their starters and their depth pieces, and I think that's how you look at this piece with James Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, if you're the Chargers specifically, it's a hard sell, right? Because, like, you just saw the ramifications of losing your 2 tackles for, in one case, all of the season, in the other case, for most of the season for Joe Alt. And it's just like, okay, if you're the Chargers, how in a good conscience can you bring in this dude who basically, in the last couple of years has only played in 5 games, and last year the only game he played in, he played 3 snaps, right? And that's why it's like, but at the same time, like, if you're really trying to rebuild this entire room, you're not talking about 3 bodies on the interior, right? It's more than that. So, like, if you really want to be a good team, you're probably going to have to find a James Daniel and hit on it. Now, it can't be your only option, right?
Not at all.
You could draft somebody in the mid rounds and bring in James Daniels and let them fight it out. And if not, you have a quality backup. He's going to be trying to go somewhere where he at least has a chance to start, but I don't think the money's going to be there for him after coming off of this, right? Because he got a 3-year contract coming off of an Achilles tear and then immediately missed the entire season. Now, he did learn this offense for an entire offseason with Butch Berry, who is now the Chargers offensive line coach, and also under Mike McDaniel, who is the Chargers' new offensive coordinator, obviously. But, like, this might be the way that you can upgrade and add several bodies to that room instead of maybe putting all of your eggs in one basket. Get a high-priced guy, get a mid-priced guy, get a high-upside guy, like a James Daniels, and see what happens, because obviously the reward could pay you back 10 times. At the same time, he goes out there and plays 2 games, and he's your starting right guard, and now he's missing the rest of the season. You only have yourself to blame because all of the red flags were already there. The writing was already on the wall. So I do think that's like, yeah, he could really help you. He's only 28 years old. At the same time, he has a crazy, last couple of years of injury history that might be too tough to swallow. But I think that is one of those guys there where it's like, hey, if you're talking about guys that can make sense and have the connections there, maybe that's where the Chargers should be looking at, or maybe will be looking at, more importantly. But let's get to another one here, because we do have to talk about some more offensive line related things, including how many of these guys the Chargers can go re-sign. Is it just one guy? Could they add multiple high-priced offensive linemen? Let's hear what Athir has for us this week.
Daniel, David, Athir Bio Tuesday an overreaction. Tyler Linderbaum and David Edwards will become a Chargers. I am afraid Odafe Oweh will not be a Chargers. I'm buying this. Give me hope that I am going to be wrong. Thank you. Love you.
I mean, only if you could kind of make it seem like it's a bad thing the Chargers getting, 2 of the better interior offensive linemen that are out there on the market. But I do think it's an important part of the conversation to talk about, what is realistic? How many of these guys can they actually go get? And, like, even in this scenario, like, it is plausible for the Chargers to even be able to get all 3 of these guys if they really wanted to.
No question about it. I mean, that's why to me, like, this is not a question of if I get this guy, then I'm not going to be able to get this. That's not the case here. The Chargers got buku money, okay? And with a couple of cuts, they're going to have even more than they have now, probably north of $100 million. So if the Chargers want to get Odafe Oweh back, if they want to get Linderbaum, if they want to get David Edwards, they can sign every single one of them if they want to. They have that type of money, and they can still, do some other restructures to even replenish even more money if they so choose, which they don't even really need to. But it's not really as simple as, if I get Linderbaum, then I can't get Odafe Oweh. I don't believe that at all. And I think the Chargers cannot go into it with that type of mentality. I think they have to go into it with an aggressive mindset and doing what they can and putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to protecting their quarterback.
Well, I just don't think, like, when it comes to spending the money, they're thinking, okay, well, if we save money by not bringing back Odafe Oweh, then now we can get the offensive line we need to upgrade what we had over last year, which, isn't the case at all. Now, I do say, obviously, if you're not signing Odafe Oweh to $20 million per season, will you have more money? Sure, but, like, a decent amount of that is going to have to be allotted to whoever's replacing Odafe Oweh, and now you're going to have to spend more on edge rushers. But just as far as David Edwards, his PFF projection right now, contract-wise, is 3 years, $35 million, which comes out to about $11.7 million per season. Last year, including the playoffs, he was 12th out of 67 in pass blocking grade amongst the guards, 31st in pass blocking efficiency, meaning he's above average in most because there's 64 starting guards in the NFL. 17 most pressures allowed, so not near the top as far as pressures allowed. Tied with Quinn Miners of the Broncos, who's obviously thought of as an all-pro.
Who just got paid a lot of money.
Exactly. So, graded out well as a run blocker as well. Very kind of well-rounded player. Obviously blocked in front of one of the best running backs in the league last year in James Cook in Buffalo. Yeah. And also, when you're talking about signing multiple guys, like, it's not just getting a center in free agency. It's not just getting a guard. Like, you do need to upgrade at least 2 of those positions in my mind in free agency, and have like a James Daniels as well, right? To give yourself options going into the draft to not feel like you have to come out with maybe a first round guard by the time you get there. Now, if a first round guard falls into your lap, that's a different story, but you don't want to have to kind of pigeonhole yourself into it. So, David Edwards could be an option if the Chargers go kind of top of the market at guard. There are options out there, and we'll talk about them a lot more as these next couple weeks happen. There are plenty of guards out there this year that could be major improvements over what they got from Mekhi Becton. But I think that's the other way you have to look at it, right? Any center that they sign, you're getting $5 million off of his first year because you're getting rid of Bradley Bozeman.
Yep.
Any guard that you sign, you're getting $10 million off of that first year because they're replacing Mekhi Becton. That's another way you can kind of look at it to be like, okay, well, you are getting a decent discount, at least in the first year of some of these guys, because of what you're getting off of your salary cap as well and the extra money that you're creating there. But there is a really good conversation that we have to have, including maybe the Chargers don't go after Tyler Linderbaum and maybe go with someone else who could get maybe close to that production or at least be a good backup plan if Tyler Linderbaum goes elsewhere or goes back to the Ravens. We're talking about that and more on today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing those candidates, checking all your boxes, less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs, and listeners of this show will get $75 in sponsored job credits to help you get your post the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. If you've ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person, now's your chance because FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you will automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience is taken care of. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time and the perfect place to lock that in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds an extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch, and I think it also very much kind of comes into picture who the true contenders are as these games start to get a little bit more serious. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it can also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered on your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, David, well, we have more buy or sells to get into, but a shout out to the everydayers for contributing on this show and also for making us so successful that we now have bonus content coming to you later on today. We're going to put an extra, 15-minute-ish video out later talking about the debate between the Chargers going interior offensive line or defensive line in the first round, because everyone seems like they know it's going to be the trenches, but what side should they actually take when it comes down to their first round pick? But we still have more to get into today, including who the Chargers could get in free agency as far as the interior of the offensive line goes. And that's why we have Ryan from Spokane, who has a very interesting debate.
Hey, what's up, boys? This is Ryan from Spokane. I've been listening to your guys' show for about 5-6 years now, and you guys do a great job. Here's my buy or sell. Buy or sell, we should sign Connor McGovern over Tyler Linderbaum due to a lower AVV at around $6 or $7 million less a year and get about the same production.
This is interesting, and I think it just shows that the Chargers have some options, right? And the really interesting thing is there's two Connor McGoverns in the NFL. So we're talking about the Bills' Connor McGovern, not the Connor McGovern that plays for the Jets. They both have mustaches. They both have the same exact name. It can be very confusing. We're talking about the one that's snapping the ball to Josh Allen. Now, this is from PFF, who just put out their most underrated free agents on offense. He was recently rated one of the most underrated because his 70.5 PFF pass blocking grade ranks 8th amongst 34 qualifying centers in that span, while his 0.3% knockdown rate, sack or quarterback hit allowed, leads all players at the position. You say that, you're talking my language. You're talking about the guy whose quarterback ends up on the ground the least because of him. You're talking my language. And I don't know if you would shift all of your focus to going for someone like a Connor McGovern, and we'll see if Connor McGovern gets away from the Bills, right? At the same time, I think, yeah, this is a great contingency plan. I'm still very interested in Tyler Linderbaum, but this could be someone the Chargers should be very interested in as well.
Yeah, I agree completely. But to me, it's contingency, not priority. To me,
Sure.
it's still Tyler Linderbaum, and then everybody else. It's pivot after that because Tyler Linderbaum is just as good of a pass protector as he is a run blocker, as evidenced by the 78 plus run block grade in all 4 seasons that he's played in the NFL. And as far as Connor McGovern, has some versatility as well. He's played left guard, for a couple of seasons, played center for a couple of seasons. He's only given up 8 sacks throughout his NFL career. So he has been very, very good as a pass protector in the middle of the offensive line. The Chargers need better. They need a whole lot better, and they got to spend significant money. And so to me, it's either one of these guys. It's still Tyler Linderbaum, number 1, but I wouldn't be upset if I got a Connor McGovern. It just has to be a whole lot better than it has been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that point. Connor McGovern, though, significantly better as a pass protector this year, which has to be, like something that's always kind of bothered me a little bit about Tyler Linderbaum is like the pass blocking numbers, at least last year, weren't where you'd want to be with someone who's going to get paid as much as he's going to and reset the center market. Last year, Connor McGovern, in the regular season, 3rd in pass blocking grade, obviously, but also when you're just comparing him, you had everything together. McGovern ranked 7th in pass blocking efficiency. Tyler Linderbaum, 28th out of 34. Connor McGovern, 18 pressures and 670 pass blocking snaps. Tyler Linderbaum, 26 and 536 snaps. He is the better pass protector. I'm going to always value that more than the run blocking. At the same time, we know what Mike McDaniel asks from his centers, especially in the run blocking game, as far as hitting moving targets, as far as being able to do a lot of the things that help make this offense work, which is why Tyler Linderbaum probably will still be at the top of that. But more than anything, protect Justin Herbert better. This is a guy that's protected the quarterback at the center position over the last couple of years better than most centers in the league. So not a bad option for me. But let's get to this one here from the chosen one, who I think brings up something interesting. Buy or sell, the offensive line problem doesn't require as much money or high draft picks as fans like to think. David, are you buying or selling that?
I mean, I'm gonna buy that it's not gonna take as much as people think because they were the worst offensive line in the league last year. So they just can't have the worst at every single position. Like that can't happen. Like you can't have 3/5 of your offensive line just be absolutely unplayable. And that's really what we have seen the last couple of years. It's just so many obvious, you can't just have several obvious weak points, right? You have to intentionally improve that. Now, the last couple of years, the Chargers, I don't think prioritized building and solidifying the foundation of their football team, which is the offensive line, as much as they should have. And I think this year, it has to be an intention. It has to be priority number 1, and it has to be priority number 1 in everything that they do.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think it kind of sounds silly because obviously I do think it's going to require a ton of resources to do it right and make sure, right? To make it'll never be totally infallible, but to give yourself the absolute best chance, you have to invest heavily in it. And this is my thing. I think this statement is true. Teams with a great infrastructure can get away with drafting in the mid to late rounds, developing talent, and so when guys leave or somebody ahead of them is not good enough, you have someone to replace them with, right? The problem is this team doesn't have that pipeline of players. The only interior offensive lineman they've drafted in the last 2 years was last year in the 6th round, Branson Taylor, who got cut going into the year.
Yep.
They don't have the young guys they've been developing, right? So you have to, because this is the problem. The problem is so big now that if you fail and didn't invest super heavily into it, it's almost unforgivable, right? Yeah. And so that's the thing where it's it might not. You could get away with probably 2 mid guards and a high investment in a center, or maybe you spend on Tyler Linderbaum, and you draft a Venga, Iwane in the first round, maybe you can get away with that. But the problem is this team hasn't given itself any kind of leeway in that regard because they're getting their franchise quarterback beaten to a pulp.
Yeah.
So I think if you go out and spend a bunch of money, if I'm Joe Ortiz and I'm spending a first round pick on an offensive lineman, I'm getting a Tyler Linderbaum, and everything still crumbles, and Justin Herbert, is still hit more than you want him to be, at least you tried, right? Like, you did it. You spent the resources to do it. You didn't ignore it you had the last couple of years and whiff on a Bradley Bozeman and whiff on a Mekhi Becton. You went for it, and it didn't work out. There are options out there. Like you said, there are plenty of guys who would be improvements over what the Chargers had. But with how bad it was last year, when you're letting your quarterback get hit a historic amount of times, like with no kind of hyperbole there, if you don't pour crazy investments into it, it's hard to take you seriously unless you're right. And in that case, you better be right, because if not, heads will roll, frankly. So
the pitchforks and the torches will be out.
And rightfully so, man. No one wants to see another Andrew Luck situation. No one wants to see another very, very talented, kind of championship level quarterback get let down because his team can't protect him well enough, which is, frankly, the last 2 years, what we have seen from this group. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. The good news is we have another bonus show coming to you later today where we debate the offensive or defensive line in round one topic. So make sure you guys are back here. We're going to be putting it out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast from, as well as finding this show every day for subscribing and following for free on our YouTube channel, as always, to make sure you don't miss it. Thank you to everyone who hit us up at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, in the YouTube comments, on our Locked On Chargers Facebook page, because we get these buy or sells from everywhere. Also, the voicemail line at 323-524-7924, where you can always leave us a 30-second Chargers voicemail. We really appreciate you guys. You can also find the show every day on all of our social media and the extra bonus content that we're going to be putting out. And we're putting it out only because you guys have put us in this position. We know you want more content. We're going to start giving you more content. But if you want even more than that and you want an ad-free audio version of the show, you can get that on the Locked On Everydayers Club, where you can find it in the show notes. $5 a month. You get an ad-free version of the audio podcast plus exclusive Discord, Locked On Chargers Discord channel access, which is a lot of fun as well. But that's going to wrap things up for today's show. We'll be back with you guys later with another bonus episode. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.